Hello, and welcome to The Fool and the Philosopher.
The Philosopher and the Fool. What podcast are you doing where you say, Dear Lord? Some podcast you do by yourself, Cameron's Christian Corner?
Yeah, no, the only podcast I ever did by myself was just a couple days ago when I was really bored. I wasn't so much a podcast as like a
prayer, a plea to heaven?
No, I was trying to do like a scam video to scam people. Just trying it out. Don't know how well I did. It's tricky. I'm impressed by those. I have new respect for scammers. It's not easy to make a compelling video.
Oh, those people who are like...
In just 1 second, I'm going to tell you.
Or here in my garage.
Yeah. I don't think I did it nearly as good as those guys, but...
Well, I mean, Ty is a master.
Yeah. It takes practice as well. It takes practice. So, yeah. I love those videos, though. I wonder if there's like a way you can search for them, like, specifically.
Scam videos.
Yeah. But, like, not just flat-out scams. Like, they actually do give you something.
Yeah, they give you very, very basic knowledge.
Yeah.
Actually, they're a good starting point. Like, so you get one of those videos, right?
Yeah.
And a person's like tries to tell you how to go through all these things. Where we're like, I'm going to give you this information, or like, you can start a business at home, or you can do this. And you go, yeah, I can, but I'm not getting that advice from you. And then you go look it up properly. And
yeah. You look up all the things they say they're going to tell you, and then you know what to look up.
Yeah.
And then you find them. Yeah. So yeah, it's good to be skeptical about that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. I've always like thought though, like, well, if there's like this one guy, right?
He's desperate to get his information out.
Yeah, he's desperate to get, but he's like, all right, in a few moments, I'm going to tell you how to make $1 million from home. Everyone in the world can do this. We can all just be wealthy and like won't crash the markets or anything. Like he just like this perfect thing, right? So he pays for ad space with the millions he's making, but for some reason, like, I don't know, the ad company's like, this guy's a little shifty, don't want to like work with him, so it can only like get out for a while, right? And it pops and you're like, ad, skip. And this one guy's just like, no, let me help you. I have the cure for cancer.
Yeah, but
All you have to do is eat this berry.
and give me $9.99.
No, it's not even that. He's like actually going to tell you. It's just he's really bad at making videos, and so he like waffles a whole bunch.
In just a moment, I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, he's just like has a really bad habit of waffling.
I want to start making YouTube videos. I think I could do it. I've seen these people that do things, and I'm like, I could do better. And also like, hey, this is good, but I want something that I would want to watch rather than this sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think I want to give it a shot, maybe. But where was I going with this? Oh yeah, I was wondering about like the. There's a lot of different ways to go about it, isn't there?
Yeah.
Like for example, my first thing I wanted to try out was to do like Age of Wonders 3 campaign, which I've never done before.
Yeah.
Except with all my mods in it.
Yeah.
Except maybe my Luckless Halflings, because I don't like that one. So do that. That would be kind of fun, I was thinking. But I was wondering, like, there's a way I could start. I could be like, hey, my name's Cameron, and I'm going to just try out my thing. This will be fun. Let's see what happens. And do sort of like an uncut sort of thing.
Yeah.
Or you could do, like, you could be scripted and have, like, or you could do voiceover afterwards. And, like, finally edit it or something.
Yeah.
But I was all... Maybe speaking will be tricky. But I was also thinking that I could do it like I don't know, like really edited, like who, me, what, Age of Wonders 3, where, my house, why, because, let's go. First thing, we're doing this, or you could have like whenever there's text on the screen, I just instantly close it, but then I voice over it later, and it's like read in the background while I play. Like there's a lot of different ways to go about it. And I think thinking about it too much is probably why I haven't done it before, because you just got to start and see what happens, I think.
Yeah.
More than anything. And that's how a lot of things, I stop like not doing a lot of things, is because I think I have to understand them before I do them. But really, you just got to go for it, I think.
Yeah.
And I do that for a lot of things. Like making board games, you cannot like have a fully designed board game in your mind. Like you have to just kind of
Draw on a piece of paper and then make your younger sibling play it with you.
Yeah, well, there's like one board game designer. I don't actually agree with him, but he said don't write down any rules for the first day of designing your game. Like so it's basically floating all in your head, so you can change it as, and also it means that when you're playing, what you naturally do will be the most fun thing, rather than like, oh yeah, I have to do that rule. Oh yeah, I have to do that rule. So I do agree with him.
But you don't.
That like it's good to keep it loose, but I also think that I think it works, but my way I prefer is writing stuff down and being willing to cross it out a lot.
Yeah.
The problem is, of course, that once you have like a nice set of rules, then you start going like you start tweaking it on a much smaller scale rather than like I'm going to throw out this page. And so I see why he says that, and I think the guy who said that was the guy that made that solitaire game where you have to investigate like eldritch stuff. What's it called? Elder Sign or something? Is that the game?
I don't know.
Right. It's like a dice game with cards that you.
Okay. I don't really know board games.
Okay. But yeah, he's that dude. So but yeah, back on the I mean, we actually kind of deviated far from that now, didn't we? But the scam videos. I don't know. Making videos is fun. You make videos.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your preference? Just kind of unedited, go at it sort of thing?
It's a mix. It's a mix of things. Sometimes I'll go like, I feel like making an edited one, I guess. And then other times like, oh, maybe I'll write a little script. A lot of the times, I have troubles with scripts. I have a lot of trouble with scripts. Like, I will write a script and I'll get it down and then I'll read it and it doesn't feel natural to me. And so sometimes I'll write a script, then I'll say the ideas on the script, but that's like, oh, I missed that really clever thing I came up with on the script. And then other times, like in my tutorials, like someone's like, oh, your tutorials are obviously not scripted. And it's like, I lay everything out that I'm going to talk about, and I just have it all in my head, and then I just go through it and talk about every single thing.
I think that's the best way to do it, is like a bullet point list or something, if you're going to do scripting. What do you prefer to watch? Like, do you prefer unscripted, unedited, edited, scripted?
It's a mix again. Like, it depends if it's enjoyable.
I have a lot of fun with making a coherent story from a bunch of disparate parts, and I find it quite fun.
Yeah, whereas when I edit this podcast, I'm basically pruning a tree.
Yeah.
Or I'm like, oh, that's an ugly branch. Snip. Oh, that makes me look bad. Snip. Oh, that makes Cameron look bad. Better keep that. Maybe play it twice.
Yeah.
Just increase the volume here.
And it's, where was I going? Yeah, it's what you enjoy, I think.
Yeah.
Like, so going back to the scam artists.
Yeah.
I think, like I was saying, you should be skeptical of them. Mm-hmm. And I do, like, verify and... But I also think, like you're saying, the guy out there that's trying to get his message out.
Yeah.
So if you're skeptical of him as well, then you miss out on it. And I think skeptics, or self-proclaimed skeptics, or not even self-proclaimed, just people that act in a skeptical manner, seem to fall into a trap. I think I might have even talked about this before. But they... just... Like, needs a bit of stroking there. Something.
Just notice that if I pull my hairs back, it gets all floofy and I push it more. You know those things like on the couches where it's like two different materials? Sorry.
So skeptics, right? They, I think they fall into a trap where they doubt a lot of things, and a lot of things they should doubt. And I think the big one you find on YouTube is the ones that doubt, I'm not even sure what you would call it. Like, sort of SJW rhetoric would be my best way to sum it up. It's a whole lot of things. It's feminist extremists or radical feminist sort of things. It's racists that are claiming the other people are racists. It's crazed theories about wealth disparity or racial disparity, or there's a lot of nonsense, and I don't even know how to summarize all of it because it seems so disparate. But for some reason, that's the weird thing about conspiracy theorists, actually, is they don't just believe one conspiracy theory, they believe all of them. And you'd think, like, yeah, the moon landing was faked, and you're like, okay, yeah, you could be like, sure, they maybe put all the effort in to do that, and they put a lot of work in to hide it, because there's they want Russia... I think the best argument for faking the moon landing is that the benefits of doing so are so high. You end the Cold War with victory, basically. You defeat Russia. So it's like, wow, they have a really good reason to do this.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean, like, oh, look at this. We have airplanes, like, crop dusting people with mind-controlling effects. It's like, is there a good reason to do that? Why? Like, you wouldn't think you'd believe both.
Yeah.
Or you're like, the government wants to control people, so they're doing this. You're like, okay, the government wants to control people. Also, the Earth is flat.
If the government is willing to fake the moon landing, what else are they willing to do?
But why would they do it? Like, it seems I suppose there is that. Like, if they're willing to do one thing, they're willing to do the other.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a little strange. So anyways, there's this, I'm going to call it like SJW sort of collection of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And there's people that rightfully call them out, like stuff like the wage gap. We don't know what causes it. It's not sexism in most cases. There are cases where that exists, but as a whole, it isn't. And we don't know why it's there. And it could be sexism, actually. Sorry, I shouldn't say it isn't. It could be, but we don't know what it is. It's kind of hard to prove because there's laws against it, and all you have to do is report them to the laws. And what you'll find most of the time is that you're comparing completely different jobs. You're saying, like, this CEO doesn't make as much as this McDonald's employee. Like, why is there a wage gap here? And you're going to get different answers, of course. Like, you're going to...
What's he the CEO of?
Why shouldn't he make more?
No, you're saying the CEO doesn't make as much.
No, should they make more? I'm pretty sure I said make more anyways.
Okay.
But when you look at, like, you have to compare identical jobs, not similar. And even then, if one group of people is more likely to ask for a raise than another group of people, then you're going to also have a disparity, just because that doesn't mean that the wages are all fixed within a job. They might be like, well, I'm willing to pay this much, but I'm also going to try to squeeze as much out of my employee as I can.
Also, there could be even this person is far more willing to work holidays than this person.
So they're making more money because they're working longer hours.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of factors, and once you eliminate them...
Like, all jumper wearers make more money than t-shirt wearers, and the jumper wearers are just willing to work in the freezers longer.
And I can't say it enough. The sky isn't a grid of stars. I keep saying it, and it's because it's like, there will always be... Randomness isn't even, it's random. There's always going to be clumping. So you're going to always find something. Unless you're incredibly authoritarian and micromanaging everything, there's always going to be someone or some group that is more of something or less of something.
But even then, the universe itself, its random chaos pushes against that. And so, like, even being super authoritarian, it won't really work.
Yeah, well, you could just say, like, everyone in my company makes $20 an hour and may only work 6 hours a week or 6 hours a day, and they must work 4 hours a week, no questions asked. And then you could sort of, like, force it. And you could be like, even if they don't show up, they get paid.
Yeah.
And then...
Well, in the...
Every position, CEO or not, they get the same wage.
Was it? The Ayn Rand book.
Yeah, I figured. Go on.
What do you mean, go on?
Go on, you crazy Ayn Randian. You're objectivist swine.
No, it's just we talk.
Oh, sorry, you're not a swine. You're a superior being.
No, we talk about this, and then it's there's an engineering firm that was doing really well, and then the owner died and his children took over, and they had the idea, and so they started doing that to the company. So, like, everyone got paid the same, and it was, like, all meant to work like that, and it's, like, all meant to be distributed evenly. Then everyone quit working there.
Yeah.
And like, the town was destroyed, because that's how the town was, like, making all its wealth, is via that factory.
What a great way to make an example. I should write a book, right? Where everyone gives money to me, and then the world prospers. Like...
And it's a book made out of straw men.
Yeah. Like, it's probably correct that, like, you know, people might not like feeling so restricted in their job. But there's a lot of people that probably gravitate to it that weren't working. They'd be like, oh, wow, I get the same no matter what I do? Yeah.
Look, Cameron, it was a 1,000-page book I had to read for school, and so I'm going to get my time's worth out of it.
Get your time back.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have to use it. Even if I don't agree totally with the book, I still have to use it.
And I don't think her ideas are bad at all, actually. I just think that it's a little heavy-handed, just like that example.
It is heavy-handed. And I think... Man, I do sound like a crazy spirit being. I think Ayn Rand gets more of a bad rap than she deserves. And why I say that is I feel like people who disagreed with her idea then, like, put it to the farce extreme. Like, her whole thing about, like, being selfish... Like, in her books, her characters who are being selfish is it's like, I love you because I love you. It's not for you, it's for me. Or it's like, I did this for you because you're my friend.
No, I think...
And this is entirely, it completes me doing something for my friend, but it was because I did it solely for myself.
No, I think objectivism is actually quite a good philosophy. And I think it's extreme, it's at its best.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of objectivists even don't understand, or maybe they're bad at explaining her beliefs, because...
like, a lot of her characters are incredibly nice people, and they're completely selfish.
A lot of libertarians, I find, and also a lot of objectivists, like, they tend to overlap a lot. And they tend to be quite optimistic about the nature of humans.
Yeah.
They tend to think, like, people... And I find, like, a lot of socialist types are quite negative on human nature. They're like, well, people won't stop... They won't smoke when they're near others. They won't stop drinking unless you, like, enforce it from top down. And I don't... I don't think one view is correct over the other. Yeah. Which is... how would you put that? I think there's a mix needed of, like... Yeah. I do think that it is good to think the best of people, but I think you also have to admit that in order for, your right to swing your fist ends where my nose begins. Yeah. Like, if you're, do whatever you want, but then if you're, like, dumping all your waste into the local water supply, into the well, let's say, the local well, then you do need a top-down person to say, hey, I want everyone to have their own rights and their own access to drinking water, which is the foundation of society and something that I think just about everyone agrees with. Yeah. And then beyond that, you get the more like, well, no, if I dump it into the water, then they should have bought like a water filter. Like, it's not my fault. Like, that's the really extreme. And on the other hand, it's like, well, if you control the water, society would be better as well if we determine when people are allowed to take water, so there's not lineups and stuff. And then at that point, because it never ends. That's the problem. It's actually like a slippery slope, but it doesn't have to... You don't have to slide down it. I think you can stop on it, probably. But it's like, well, obviously the water should be kept clean. Everyone can agree with that. Yeah. But then we should dictate when you can get it so there's not lines. And you're like, see, that all benefits society, and your nose is getting in my way because otherwise it takes me longer to get the water. So if we do this, society runs smoother. And that's what you could consider like speed limits on highways, let's say. And so some people are like, you shouldn't have speed limits, and others, you will, because I want to be safer when there's other cars around me. Yeah. And so there isn't actually like an obvious line. It actually has to be like, what does your society agree on average? What is sort of like the average person's, where do they want the authoritarianism to end?
Well, we had this interesting debate last night, which went along the lines, like the pushing a cane, you get money? Yeah. So it's like... you press a button, and a person randomly dies, and you get money. Yeah. And so it's like $1 million. So you get $1 million if you press this button. Yeah. And then someone randomly in the whole world dies. Yeah. And one guy's saying, yeah, I'd press it. The chances of anyone I know dying are pretty small. Yeah. And then he was having an argument with another person about this. And the one guy's just like really disgusted by him saying that. It's like, you're like basically the polar opposite of my moral value. Yeah. And unfortunately, the person who was saying, like, I would press the button, when he gets into an argument, he goes like, as extreme as possible. Yeah. Because it's just what he naturally does. And so he was going on this extremely, like, weird philosophy sort of thing of, like, his points and defending them. And after he'd done the argument, he's like, and that guy left, he's like, I actually said I just pressed that because I'm incredibly selfish and I value myself way more than other people. So, one thing that they did say is a lot of people... wouldn't say it openly, but they would press that button.
Well, you're in luck. Hello, Jonathan from Evil Corp here. I have brought the button for you. Would you press it?
No.
Okay, let me just rejig that for you. Alright, now it's going to kill 5 dogs.
Get away from me.
No, 5 dogs? 3 dogs. 3 dogs for $1 million. Dogs are probably going to die soon anyway, so your odds are pretty good. Like, most dogs are probably halfway through their life right now.
Get away from me, Evil Corp.
Okay, 1 dog. 1 dog, just 1. How many dogs to a person anyways, huh? What, is the money too low? Or is there too many dogs?
As a deontologist,
Alright, 2 cats.
What is it? The means justify the ends. I'm killing 2 cats. I don't care about the money.
Yeah. All right. So, how many cats to a dog? What if
it doesn't equivalent like that. You see, it would be like, or you could equivalent it like how many cats.
Okay, well, we got a problem here, actually, at Evil Corp. So, you didn't kill the dogs, but a lot of our other customers have decided to kill the dogs. Now, we were thinking, that's a bit of a shame, since you're a bit of a dog lover, obviously, right? Would you call yourself a dog lover?
Sure.
Right, so, we've decided to delay the killing of the dogs from all our other customers. Most of them went for the 5-dog one. Some of them were 10, but most were 5 or 3. So right now we have a problem where there's actually 1,000 dogs that are about to die, but you can stop it if you hit this button. Now, the problem is, if you hit the button, one person dies. Random person, you don't know them. If you hit the button.
No.
Alright, I'm just getting this in. Yeah, we're being very successful with our product. There's actually 1 million dogs out there that you could save for one person dying.
No.
Okay, now here's the thing, right? You go to a river, you see a dog drowning in the water, and you're like, you might jump in the river, try to save the dog, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, you're risking a human life to save one dog.
My life.
Right. But you're not willing to risk a human life to save 1 million dogs.
I'm not willing to risk someone else's life.
All right, we can rejig this for you. So we've now got a little dial here. It's like roulette. And we've got a 1 in 10 chance of you dying. But if you hit the button, 1,000 dogs, guaranteed saved.
Okay.
Okay, right. Now let's say it was mosquitoes. How many mosquitoes? Okay, so we've got 10 million mosquitoes. They're about to die, unfortunate. But one of those dogs you just saved, thankfully you lived. If you get rid of it, it was going to die anyways, basically. So now, if you get rid of that dog, you can save 10 million mosquitoes. 1 billion. One of the dog's whiskers.
Save mosquitoes.
Well, a valuable part of the ecosystem or something,
They aren't.
All right.
An extensive study was done. They aren't.
Right, well then, if you kill that dog, you'll kill all the mosquitoes.
No.
Stop a lot of pain and suffering. That dog was going to die anyways. You saved its life. Surely you now have...
It's alive now. Its life is saved. It's not going to die anymore.
Right, but
it was never going to die because I saved it.
Right, but you had the chance. But, it's kind of like you've saved it, so now you can spend it as you will, right?
No. It was given freely.
It's your thrall.
No, it is not. I gave it that, and so it's live now. It owes me nothing.
Right, okay, let's say I give you $1 million. You kill the dog and all the mosquitoes.
No.
Tell you what, there's this kid, right? He's dying of cancer, and fortunately, we have the medicine for him, but the medicine's very expensive to produce. $500,000. Now, his brother, also very sick. So we can save both of them for $500,000. And so we'll donate that money directly for you if you kill the dog and all the mosquitoes.
But, you see, that would be doing something wrong to achieve something good.
Yes.
So no.
Right. Okay. Now we're gonna phone up the kids and tell them we made this offer, and and then we're going to put them on a Skype call with you while we play sad violin music and they stare at you.
I've had enough of this.
Man, Evil Corp, gotta love him. Right.
Do you, though?
Yeah. Anyways, the skeptic trap is there's a lot of these things that they see and they're like, oh yeah, this is wrong. But they start doubting mainstream media and academics, and they fall into a trap, I think, where they start looking for alternatives to mainstream stuff, which is fine.
Mm.
But instead of looking for alternatives, they go from that and they switch to believing alternatives.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, this is a news station. Like, you can't trust the media, so I'm just going to trust this random dude over everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get a lot of climate change denial from skeptics. And I think the skeptics a lot of the time are denying the motives of the climate change people who are obviously in it for some crazy reason, like the Extinction Rebellion organization, or I think there is organizations looking for control but it doesn't change the science. The reactions to the science might be wrong, and I think you can doubt those and be like, I don't like these. But I think that doesn't change the science, whether or not you want it to exist or not. So, for example, you can be like, look, I want to be allowed to pump as much oil into my car as I want and drive it around. The economy can't support it.
Yeah.
And you can be like, yeah, sure, totally agree. But the science is still there. This is going to cause problems. If you're willing to accept that, then that's fine. Go ahead. But you have to admit the problems are there. And they say you can't predict it. You can. It's very, very easy to predict on a big scale. It's like if you put a flame under a cup of water, that cup of water is going to start to boil. I can't tell you where the bubbles are going to appear or how it's going to slosh or how much steam is going to be generated. But I can tell you the cup of water is going to start to boil.
Yeah.
And that's like super easy. Now, of course, there's actually a chance that like all the heat will go sideways or something incredibly weird. Like the air particles will immediately transfer the heat sideways, like some Maxwell's demons, just like working overtime. I don't even think it could work fast enough. But let's say it's possible.
Yeah.
That's so incredibly unlikely to the point of like it'd be more likely to teleport through a wall or something.
Yeah.
That like you might as well like say, look, you can predict it with reasonable certainty.
Yeah.
Beyond a reasonable doubt, as they say in like law. And so the science is there, and it's just the skeptics tend to doubt that sort of thing. And another one I've seen is this whole coronavirus situation is, look, there's not nearly as many deaths as the experts predicted, so why do we have this lockdown? And
we have this lockdown because
there's not as many deaths. And it's the same. So I used to think that like, oh, once the world like falls apart, at least all the climate change deniers will finally be like, okay, you were right. But I think that was, kind of shows my negative mindset for one thing of like my sort of, I will hurt myself as long as it can show you your ways of wrong.
Downfall.
Yeah. Like, I very much have that mindset, and I'm...
From hell's heart I spit at thee.
But I will, like, go to hell so I can get, like, a good mouthful ready.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but, like, that's just the kind of person I am.
You're descending into the molten metal, you raise a middle finger at
like,
people.
if I see, like, this glowing red pot, right? Like, this is sort of, like, I don't think I'd do it, but this is kind of my mental mindset. And I'll do it in different degrees that are probably more harmful, in a way. If there's this glowing red pot... and someone says to me, like, no, it's fine, you can touch it. I will, like grab it, look what you did to me. Rather than be like, no, I'm not going to touch that, that's hot.
Yeah.
Because I want to, like, how dare you?
I will make myself suffer to show you the error of your ways.
Yeah.
I have a super bad martyr complex.
Yeah, I just want to be like, I told you so.
Martyr complex.
Yeah. But, anyways, now I think, like, with this... The problem is, if we do good, then they'll be like, well, look, the environment's not changing. Like, there's a hole in the ozone layer. Now it's getting fixed up. So what are they talking about? CFCs? They don't do anything.
So SARS, right?
Yeah.
Like, they got on that. But, like, SARS was still bad. Better example, Y2K.
Yeah.
Like, I watched Internet Skeptic thing on Y2K, and, like, made a little joke, and, like, nothing happened.
Yeah.
I thought you'd go a little more into it, but I was like, holy cow. You look at, like,
the thing with Y2K is it's actually similar in a way to this, because nothing might have happened.
Yes.
It is possible. But the chances were also high that, like, nuclear missiles would start getting launched. And
bank info would be destroyed. Like,
yeah.
A whole bunch of stuff could go terribly wrong. Like,
you'd have to unplug and replug in your clocks. Like, chaos.
Well, no, like, the programmers basically went, like, it could do nothing. It could break the machine. It could make the computer explode.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it wouldn't explode the computer.
Yeah, but it's just like that is like the sort of like, it could do nothing. It could be a little bug, or it could be really bad.
I think the case in the nuclear missiles is that if you are compromised, like I think this, I don't know if this is true, but I think this is how it works, is with a nuclear missile, you want it so that if someone shoots you with a missile and their first strike knocks out your computers, you want to be able to respond. So basically, it's a dead man's switch on the missiles. If something goes wrong, they fire, rather than you have to give them a command.
They fire at all potential targets that could have hit you.
Yeah, if something goes wrong. It's not like you have to give them the order to fire. It's like you're giving them the order to not fire constantly.
Yeah.
And so if the computer system crashes because it thinks it's the year 0 or the year 9,999,000, then something goes wrong and it's like, system's broken, fire.
Yeah.
That seems a little dodgy to rely on for the whole time, but that might be how it works. I don't know.
Also, like the computer systems for water valves or like water things, what are they called? The water supplies.
Yeah.
If they were set like it's like this month we usually expect this much, this month we expect this much, and then this year, and then you're like set to 0. It's like, what am I supposed to do now? Yeah, I won't pump any water.
Yeah. At the very least, it would be very annoying.
Yeah.
If like a bunch of stuff started breaking.
Yeah, but nothing broke because they fixed everything.
Yeah.
It wasn't, nothing happened. People put a lot of time work in to make sure nothing happened.
It's now 20 years later, and they're still like, was the Y2K bug a problem?
Yeah.
So I think if the climate change, if we get, it's already happened, and people are like, it doesn't exist. So, I mean, like, we've already increased by 2 degrees.
Yeah.
So I really don't think anyone's going to notice. Like,
Yeah.
it'll be raining fire from the sky, and they'll be like, it's always been like this. What's going on?
It's just a hotter year than normal.
I also don't think that those people are that common. But the skeptics, I think, are doubting in the wrong areas. And a lot of skeptics will admit, like, I don't know enough about this, or so it could go either way. But it's really not a case where it could go either way. It's like there's really basic, simple science that, like, this is the way it is.
You can just use conservation of thermal mass, like you said with the water.
Yeah.
Like, you can actually use climate change, though, with conservation.
But, like, one of the basic laws of, I think, what is it? I don't know, chemistry at least.
Yeah.
Maybe thermodynamics, but I think it's just chemistry. Is that the more energy that's in a system, the more chaos it contains.
That's thermodynamics.
Which is, look, if you heat up the Earth by 2 degrees, more stuff's going to happen. We don't know what, but more stuff's going to happen. So when they say this hurricane or this flood or this forest fire is caused by climate change, we don't know that's the case. What we do know is that if there's 20 in a year instead of 15 or 10, then it's probably the case. And it might not be, but it's a taste of what could happen. Because you can't raise... Look, do you know how it takes a calorie to raise a gram of water by 1 degrees? A whole calorie. Like a kilocalorie even. Not just a calorie. Sorry, I think.
Yes.
I think I have that right.
Calories are kilocalories.
Well, the food ones are, but I think... I could be off here now, actually. Right, so I might be off by an order of 1,000, but it doesn't change my point that much.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind, that this might be 1,000 times less bad.
Yeah.
Okay, which means you have like 1,000 calories to raise a kilogram of water.
Yeah.
Or let's say one kilocalorie even. Let's do it on the safe side instead.
Yeah.
Okay, so now it might be 1,000 times worse than what I'm saying. So it takes 1 calorie to raise a kilogram of water, 1 degree. So if you want to boil like a kilogram of water, it takes like a piece of chocolate or something.
Yeah.
You have to like burn that. So yeah, I think it's probably the other way. But we're 1,000 times less bad. Just to be sure here.
Yeah.
So it takes like a little piece of chocolate to boil that. That is a lot of energy in that chocolate. I mean, it doesn't sound like it if I put it that way. How do I phrase this right?
Bring water to boiling. It won't boil away. It'll bring it to a boiling temperature.
Yeah. Okay, I'll bring it to a boiling temperature. And if you want to sustain that boil, let's say, then that'll take like a lot of chocolate or something. Yeah. Or like teaspoons of oil or something. The Earth weighs a lot more than 1 kilogram. And not all substances are as easy to heat as water. Like glass or something, or stone or whatever. Actually, stone might be easier. I don't know.
Air is hard to heat.
Anyways, the Earth is very, very big. The amount of energy to raise the entire Earth by 1 degree is insane. Like, you are not doing that with a barrel full of oil. If you like set off a nuke, you're not warming the Earth by that much. Even though that's like hotter than the sun. Yeah. Lightning strikes do nothing. This is an insane amount of energy, and it's gone up by like 2 degrees.
Yeah, Earth also hemorrhages energy and heat all the time.
Yeah, it's
out into space.
But it's increased permanently by 2 degrees, which means something's happened. And now things happen naturally over time, sure, but not in like, what, 200 years?
Yeah.
500 years? So, I don't know. And the other area is, this coronavirus thing, where it's like, I think you can argue, look, the government shouldn't have the power to force people to stay in their homes. I think that is a very good argument, because what you then have is the government says, hey, there's a bunch of protesters outside. There's a pandemic. And everyone's like, we're not going to go inside. Then you're breaking curfew and you're getting arrested.
Yeah.
Totally legally. And we can detain you for as long as we want. And then it's like, okay, if everyone's hiding inside, can we come out yet? No. And so it is dangerous to allow the government to have that power, I think. The question is, are you willing to accept that risk? And you're like, well, people should just stay in and listen to the government's best practices. Like, that's a good idea. But the problem is, if half the people are out and they feel like they're willing to take that risk, and half the people are in, the people that are scared and not willing to take the risk have to stay in for significantly longer because the people outside are extending the period that it lasts for. So the people going outside are made selfish. Even though, let's say, they need to go out. They need the money. They need the food.
Yeah.
But they are selfishly, that's in quotation marks, forcing other people to stay inside that aren't as willing to risk their lives.
Yeah.
Now, maybe that's like the way you think it should be. If you're willing to take the risk, you should be allowed to live. If you're not willing, then you should, like, those cowards are probably the rich anyways that are hiding inside that can afford to.
Yeah.
But that is the argument. The argument isn't, is the coronavirus deadly or not?
Mm-hmm.
Is it, and the argument isn't like, does this, should, like, I don't know. You shouldn't be skeptical about okay, sure, you should be skeptical about the deaths and stuff. Yeah. Be skeptical about everything. But that doesn't mean the moment you see one random guy post 10 times on Facebook that 5G towers kill birds out of the sky, that they are the source of... I'm just calling it the skeptic's trap in general, where you don't believe the mainstream sources because you're skeptical and you go, okay, fair enough. But then you also immediately believe like the dodgiest thing in the world. Like, you got to verify your sources is what it comes to. Like, the thing is, like, there's the argument for climate change, let's say, which is, well, if it's going to destroy the planet and there's a chance it will, we should just work for it anyways. And the argument against that is there's a chance a meteor will destroy Earth. There's a chance that a supervolcano will go off. There's a chance a solar flare will wipe everything out. There's a chance that, like, Godzilla will come back from the sea and, like, destroy Japan and we'll all lose cheap phones or, like, high quality phones and cars or something. Yeah. Like, and so you have to prepare for all of those. And that's true. It does make it a bit absurd. But the thing is about climate change in particular, you actually don't even have to give up anything. You just have to be like, oh, you know what? Given the choice, I'm not going to, burn this plastic. Or given the choice, I'm not going to, oh, that Tesla looks cool. Next time I get a car, I'll get a Tesla instead of a Hummer. Next time, obviously there's cost considerations to make. But the thing about a lot of oil industries, for example, there's a lot more than just that, is they get huge subsidies. So they're not even like this just sustainable economic choice anyways. They're being given money by the governments anyways. So it's all it's not even an economic argument of like you have to like live in the dirt and be farmers to be environmentalists. You just have to not just if you like, just be capitalist. Take away all the funding from everyone and see who comes out on top. Like, that's how I would like it done, personally. I don't know if that's...
Extreme capitalism.
Well, yeah, because the best ideas...
Extreme capitalist arena. Fight!
That's how capitalism works, is the best ideas come to the top. Or at least, like, the most successful, like, monopolizer and, like, person that can, like, get a...
Sounds like you, Fred Hatcher Shrugged.
Get, like, a toehold on the government and stuff. Like, because that's the thing. Like, if you have the strongest lobbyers or the strongest... But if the government just goes, I'm not going to listen to your lobbyers, then that's all it takes.
Yes, lobbyists and friends in friends in DC. Powerful friends in DC. Everyone has friends in DC. Gotta get your friends in DC to help you out.
What's that?
It's a constant line all the time in Atlas Shrugged. She was like, got powerful friends. And they're basically saying, like, I've got powerful friends near the government so they can make things happen.
Right.
I've got friends in DC.
Yeah, so it's a bit...
And it's like, he didn't want to handle any of that stuff, so he, like, had someone do it for him. And it's like, I don't want to handle all this stuff. I just want to run a factory. And so I'll get some crazy social guy who's a genius in that to handle it. And then it turns out that guy's just a confident idiot who's just blackmailing, guilt-tripping everyone. Yeah. And the whole system ran on that.
But the skeptic trap is that it's either the extremists on one side are right or the extremists on the other sides are right. It can't be like... Look, there's a reasonable solution to this problem. You can be pro-environment and not, like, anti-human or anti... Like, okay, I want to talk about those crazy people that call themselves environmentalists for a moment as well. There is no point in saving the world. There's no point in saving the environment. All the penguins and polar bears and stuff can go die. I don't care, right? If people aren't around. Like, if there's no point in saving the world for some other species. Like, oh, we're better off without humans. We should all humans should be wiped out. We should just die. We're a blight. We're a parasite on the earth. That sort of thing. It's absolutely stupid. The only reason to be an environmentalist is to be selfishly care about yourself. Because humans don't have the power to kill off the earth. We'd like to think we do, but we can't. It's going to survive just fine. There's been so many mass extinctions, and it's bounced back every time. Earth is very good at
it's
life.
Very, very old.
Life is incredibly resilient. Like, even if we
life finds a way.
Carefully bombed the entire surface of the earth with the most powerful nukes we could, and filled them with the worst poisons we could, we would have
radiation eating crabs.
Or mold, or bacteria at the bottom of the oceans, or living. There is bacteria that lives inside stone. You can't get rid of life. You'd have to blow apart the earth. Maybe we could devote all our resources to generating enough antimatter to do that or something.
Just dig a massive hole, convert all the stuff that we dug out of it into antimatter, then drop that antimatter into the Earth's core. Find some sort of
containment system for the antimatter and chuck it in there. Yeah. And then maybe, but the Earth would probably reform and you got life originated from somewhere. You had a bunch of chemicals and water and heat, and probably just happened again if the Earth exploded and have slowly reformed. So the only reason to save life on Earth
might change the gravity of the universe, and Mars might drift closer to the sun,
is to save people. And the only reason to take care of things is to keep up our quality of life.
Yeah.
If you have to lower your quality of life, then it's kind of missing the point to a degree. I think if you have to give up a little thing for a big thing, then sure. But just killing off people, it's we got to save the polar bears. It's why are they more important than us? What have they ever done? Did polar bear ever
that same guy with
read you a bedtime story?
Pressing the button.
Yeah.
He said, now if it was kill a person or even 1 million people, and I could stop climate change, I wouldn't. Because people wouldn't then learn a lesson. And then they wouldn't learn how to deal with it. And so they just do it again.
Would you kill 1 million people for $1?
No.
Because there's some people, right, that would hit that button and think it was a win-win because they're reducing the amount of people on Earth, thereby saving it, right? They're a bit of Thanos plus money. I snap the gloves and I get $1 billion and kill half the people in the universe. Woo! And I think, and those people, this button should mind read them, and they should be the ones that die, and they're just replaced with a pile of money. Because if you kill a random person on Earth, who's to say it's not you?
Yeah.
That is such a good basic rules of ethics. You don't know who you are. What are the rules? Ethics. The rules are you don't know which person you are on Earth. What are the rules? Should you be allowed to kill a random person on Earth for $1 million? Yeah, $1 million. I don't even know the person. It's okay, which one are you? How do you know it's not you that's getting killed? Because you don't know which human... Should you be able to hit a person with... that person was just hit by a car. Wasn't that funny? Yes. Wait, that was me. No. You're outside of Earth. Your consciousness is outside of Earth. You see 7 billion people walking around. You're I don't know which one of these people is me. So if I had to write the rules, it'd have to be to make that person the most successful they could be. But because of that, it has to work for everyone. Because if I make a rule that hinders half the people, then my odds are suddenly 50-50, and that's a little risky.
Yeah.
And so you're okay, so let's see. If I say that you should not punch people, then I'm not going to get punched, no matter who I am. Okay, so that seems like a pretty good ethical rule. I like that. That gets everyone to work along. You shouldn't poison people. I don't want to get poisoned. Yeah, okay, so now, if nobody's poisoning anyone, I won't get poisoned. Okay, cool. You just on and on like that. And then, of course, you can take the other viewpoint and just be well, it's all for me. But then, I don't know. Bit of a sorry person then, aren't you? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't thought about it. It's probably...
I do have a question for you on your rights, your fist ends where my nose begins.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to have an agreement that you're allowed to punch, two people, for a while until either one of them says no, punch each other in the face?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think personally, that's what boxing is.
Yeah, well, I like boxing.
Yeah.
Well, not boxing, but I do like hitting people and getting hit, so... when we're both doing equally,
Yeah, no, if there's an agreement towards something, then, if you're out there outside the Earth and you're if I want to get hit and...
while hitting someone else.
Yeah. then then that should be allowed.
Well, I don't like getting hit, but there's equal opportunity for others to get hit.
And you're willing to take it.
Yeah.
And you've had a prior agreement with the person, then I think so, yeah. Like, I'm definitely...
Yeah. It's not so much I like getting hit, it's like I like the chance of being hit while I'm hitting someone else.
Yeah. But I think that's like that is actually where the whole, like, well, I am willing to take the risk of getting sick while getting other people sick. Mm-hmm. So everyone else should be as well. And that's where that ethical system falls apart. Yeah. Because you're like, well, look, this coronavirus thing ain't going to kill me. So I'm going to take that risk and go out there.
Yeah. Well, you have to have the agreement with every single other person.
I guess there's that, isn't it? Because when you're boxing, it's the two of you. But when the disease, it's everyone you interact with, and everyone they interact with, and everyone they interact with. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to have the agreement.
So as long as everyone in like a country agrees and their borders are closed, then I think they should go for it. I guess, yeah. And I think that's what governments are. They're, what did we agree on? Mm-hmm. And I think that's why the whole like left-right divide or whatever is kind of ridiculous. Because the whole government is basically like, all right, look, we all got different views. Mm-hmm. What do we agree on the most? Okay, this is how we're going to be. And it's like, I hate the government. I hate the government. No. You don't hate the government. You want to sway public opinion towards your side of view, which is what you should be doing. You should be trying to convince people of your way of view. But you shouldn't be hating the government because the government is the people. Like, this is what the majority wants. Mm-hmm. You should definitely, like, always... That doesn't mean you should go along with it. You should disagree with it. You should try to pull it your way.
Okay. I thought of a new kind of government.
Yeah.
It requires some pretty crazy technology, though, or thoughts, too, okay? So, every single person, right? Like, let's say at, like, maybe age, like, I don't know, like, 18... Like, when you can vote, okay? Well, we'll just use this metric for now. So, like, 18 or whatever. Right? That's when you can vote.
Okay.
So, you take these people, and they basically, they get a chip in their head, right? Mm. And it clones their brain every second. Mm-hmm. And basically that clone is then sent to this giant parliament building with all the other clones.
Yeah.
And this thing, like, all of them just, maybe you could, like, have it, I don't know, like, go file into statistics, so, like, this is what these people want,
yeah.
And then this is the government. Or maybe they could all be arguing with each other in this thing. But it's basically, like, every person gets a clone, so they can go on with their lives, but they also get represented.
Right. So I think, I've thought about that before, like, why can't we vote on every policy? But I think I know.
It takes up a huge amount of time, and you can sway other people.
There's more than that. You shouldn't be voting, no matter how opinionated you are, on what medical policy we take on treating Alzheimer's.
Because I know nothing about it?
What you should be voting for, if anything at all, is which doctor should we listen to? Mm. But do you know what doctor's good? No. So what you should be voting on is the doctor selector.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's what we do. The Prime Minister chooses the Ministers of Health, Minister of Defense, Minister of Agriculture. So I think that's why you vote for a representative instead, because you don't know everything. You vote for the people that do know stuff, or the people that know people. And
so we vote it's just delegation.
The second reason...
It's like layers of delegation.
Yeah. The second reason I think why that doesn't work is that's kind of what Athens did. They had a system of... they were ruled by a council.
Yeah.
And so when war was declared on them, it's like, we've got to hurry to war. And it's like, well, I would think we should send this general. No, we should send... Like, they were doing the military by parliament. It's like, where shall we send the soldiers? Well, they should go north. No, we don't. Okay, let's have a vote. All right, soldiers are moving north. All right, and where are the horses? They should flank. No, they should go for the center. No, they should be scouts. All right, we'll have a vote. And it was incredibly slow. They're not war leaders.
And then they got their butts kicked by Sparta.
I think they beat Sparta, actually.
No, Sparta kicked Athens.
Oh, later, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, because they were doing this, and what's his face? Socrates warned them, like, Sparta's got a way better government than you. Yeah. And then, yeah. Or it might have been Persia that took them out, actually. I'm not sure.
No, it was Sparta.
Yeah. But
when the Greeks had their civil war, Sparta won.
But yeah, it's like a very slow and inefficient way of governing, basically. Yeah. So I think, like, the sort of chips thing, you could maybe, like... You could do it, like, on an even more complex scale of, like, Zoom finding best delegate, Zoom finding that we all agree on.
But if you have a computer that advanced, it could just, like, collective consciousness gathered.
Well, actually,
doctor.
The, in Two Like the Lightning, the Cousins faction, because Earth doesn't have countries anymore, it has factions.
Yeah.
And the Cousins factions is led by suggestions box.
Yeah.
They have a suggestions box. They put their suggestions in, and then a supercomputer compiles the suggestions and chooses what the country's going to do based on that.
We are now going to all wear silly hats. Ha, ha, ha.
Well, that's the thing. Do you trust the computer program? Do you trust the programmers?
Yeah.
Do you even understand computers enough to know that someone isn't just like pretending to be a computer?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you pull back the curtains and the Wizard of Oz is behind the computer and he just has like a typewriter.
yeah. Plus, suggestion boxes are anonymous, so it could just take like the first suggestion in. It could be
we should kill Frank.
yeah. Well, actually, there's something called the list in the series where people have compiled this list of like the person they want to die the most, and so it's like a couple thousand things long, and people like vote on it, and there's probably stuff like that online right now. Actually, I wouldn't doubt it. There's actually a really have we ever talked about this? Where what was that? Some book. I think it was the Homo Deus, where he talks about like the internet and how it could change stuff, like how to get rid of a dictator. You basically start like a sort of PayPal-like system online, and you're like, whoever kills Hitler, let's say, gets all the money donated to this. Yeah, and so it was kind of a system like that in the...
Well, actually, one thing I was thinking about the button with like $1 million or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, you're an expensive hitman.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're getting good value for your money.
Because
I think most...
$10,000.
I thought it was like 40,000, but...
Or it's in between 10,000 and 80,000.
But not that I know at all, really.
Yeah.
So it could be way off, but...
Yeah. This is just what's speculated, probably.
What I've seen on the
television,
the deep web, or whatever it's called, the dark web. So that's like, yeah, it was like 40,000 or something. That was like but that's just like the one guy's or the several people, who knows? And that was like for a special job because he was like killing a spouse or something. I don't remember. But anyways, and who knows how much stuff on there is real? Like it could just be a lot of people faking stuff or having fun or trying to freak people out. Probably a lot of legitimately nasty stuff going on too, but yeah. And why is it a button? Like, is it because it's meant to be like low effort?
Yeah, and you can press it over and over again because the button's pressable.
How many times did anyone ask him how many times he'd press it?
He said you like press it several times.
Okay, because it kind of gets interesting with like does it become worse? Like, is 10 million deaths 10 times worse than 1 million deaths? Or does, after a while, like if there's 2 people left on Earth, do you still press the button? Like, would he press it infinite times? Or would he press it until he had enough money? Or, like, it's kind of, how much is enough money? Is it like, you're at the store and it's like, oh, can't afford these new shoes. 1 second. You whip out the button. Doink. There we go. Left my wallet at home, so good thing I have the button on me. Like, what's his...
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, would you push the fat man in front of the trolley to save the passengers? I think, like, the fat man has the choice to jump in front of the train, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't think you should push him. Yeah,
well, that's, like, one of the things is, like, with that, like, if you care about people, with that $1 million you get from pressing a button, you could, like, save a bunch of lives.
Yeah. You could, let's say you could save, like, 5 lives with $1 million.
Yeah.
You would have to keep pressing the button if you're just going, like, straight up utilitarian. But I don't think, all the variables. Like, what if you kill the person like, the charity workers or something?
Cameron?
Yeah.
I figured out how to optimize this button, right?
Yeah.
So, like, you have the button, okay?
Yeah.
And you let the world know you have this button. Like, I don't know, like, you have to be careful because people can find you, but it's just like a black box, like you completely cover up your voice or whatever. And you're like, if I press this button, a person will randomly die, and I will get $1 million. So you press it.
Yeah.
Now, I want $7 billion, one for every person on Earth. And if I do not get that money every hour, I will press this button until I have $7 billion. I am waiting.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be the humane way to go about it.
If you wanted to make money off pressing the button.
Yeah. Well, if you just wanted money and you're willing to kill people for it anyways.
Yeah.
That'd be the humane way to go about it. Yeah. You'd probably get, like, found, though.
Yeah.
But, that would kind of work. The other thing is, what was it with the button? Well, what if, let's say you're, okay, yeah, I will press the button. Is that what you want the default for humanity to be? Because let's say every single person on Earth is given one of these buttons.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, don't care about other people. Whack!
Yeah.
The Earth's just made of money. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, well. And that's how the human race ended, eh?
Or even if half the people press it.
Yeah.
It's going to cause a mess.
Well, I don't know. You'll have, like, way more wealth. And there's going
No, if half the people press it, then they'll get the money. And then you'll have, like...
Oh, what if it's $1 million in true wealth or something?
Okay.
Yeah. Or if you lose half the people, then you're basically just transferring all the other half of people's wealth to the other half. So
yeah, but I mean, some people who get the wealth would die because it's random. So half the people wouldn't, like, if we're going to do a random, then you would take a circle, right?
So you'd have like a quarter of people with money.
So you take a circle, you draw a line through it, then you rotate it, and then you get rid of half of that, and that's what you get.
So you have a quarter people. So the entire Earth's population, half of it dies. What remains? Half of them have a bonus $1 million, and the other half are like morally superior with no money.
Yeah.
And then the superior half with the money looks down at them and they're like, and they hit the button again.
And then you have that again.
But then all like the surviving people find these buttons lying around and they're like, I gotta hit that button before they hit me. And they're just like, whack, 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 trying to kill everyone before they all die.
Yeah. That's a dangerous button to give to everyone.
Yeah, and then like, what? Like, it would take several seconds to kill off everyone on Earth, but like the fastest presser, the person that thought of it first. And see, the moment, so actually, if someone offered me a button, right? Really, game theory wise,
you should hit as many
the moment you get it, you should hit as many times as possible because if you get it, why shouldn't other people on Earth get it? And so if you want to take them out before they take you out.
Or the game theory is you should never hit it.
Never hit it. And then everyone likes, it's like,
don't press that
nuclear
button.
weapons.
Yeah.
Mutually assured destruction.
Yeah. And the instant someone suddenly gets $1 million, everyone should just like start hitting those. Like some person randomly goes up $1 million. Everyone who has one of those buttons should just start hammering them.
Start spamming that button.
How many times? Okay, but if you have hitting a button even 1 million times.
Yeah, you get like, but you could probably afford like the repetitive strain surgery and stuff with it. But you wouldn't have to hit it that many times because everyone has one. So it would take like, it would take very little time. Really.
Yeah.
It'd probably take like 30 hits to like get rid of.
You could even like
everyone.
Yeah. No, it's just like whack.
And you and the last person just look at each other. Like you both have giant stacks of cash behind you. And like, well, I guess we're the last people on Earth. Yeah.
And then you both hit the buttons and you die. And they don't because the random person that died was you and the random person that... Like if we want to go even truly random person dying...
Why should you be excluded from the random?
Well, I'm saying why should you, but also you hit the button, right?
Yeah.
And someone else hits the button. Like if it's random, like could the same person die? Like, or if you hit at the exact same time, or it's like milliseconds so the other person dies?
I don't know, I think like with my button... There wouldn't be overlap. It'd be very efficient.
Yeah.
So if one person died from the button, they wouldn't die again.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So it'd just be like...
Otherwise you could like kill Julius Caesar with your button.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
The button doesn't care about time or space.
Yeah. You just like hit the button and reality changes every time.
Although it has to be a lever because I don't want to have another thumbnail as a button.
What if it's like... Yeah.
It has to be a cash lever.
Yeah. Evil Corp here. Here's your cash lever.
Yeah.
We decided to upgrade.
It's satisfying. You like kerchunk. So you have a moment of remorse, right? So you can kerchunk it, and then nothing happens. But if you push it forward, then it happens.
Well, if you think about it, most people that go to Vegas, right? Mm-hmm. Look, I'm from Evil Corp here. I've given you this lever, right? It gives you $1 million if you pull it, kill someone. You look at Vegas, the people on the old one-armed bandit. They're constantly pulling. They're killing themselves. That's like 10 people dying for a chance at $1 million. This is one person dying for a guaranteed $1 million. It is morally superior to use than playing slot machines.
That makes me very uncomfortable.
Don't worry, you're in the spin, so it's not even like you're not putting yourself at risk. Everyone on Earth gets an equal risk. You just are the only one that gets the reward.
Yeah, it makes me very... What if... Right, so you have this button, okay?
Yeah.
And you can hit and kills one person. Yeah. It gives you $1 million.
No, a lever.
Yeah, a lever. Yeah. So you pull this lever, it gives you $1 million.
Yeah.
And every person that person that died knew also gets $1 million.
So you're really doing them a favor.
Yeah.
Especially if they're well loved.
Hmm.
Because then they have more people.
All right. Anyhow, Sit.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to think, or you think we can end it there?
Yeah, I think we can end it there. It's a good place to wrap up. And I'd be curious, like, I wonder if there's like a poll online or something of like this.
Yeah.
Okay, how about this? This video can be the lever, right? Yeah. So you hit the thumbs down button, you pull the lever. You hit the thumbs up button, you pull the... Wait, no.
You don't pull the lever.
You don't pull the lever.
If you don't press the button, you are the person who dies from the lever being pulled.
Actually, I don't know. It could really screw with the videos like, what do you call it? We'd be like, wow, there's a lot of people that want money out there. But how do we know if they don't just hate us? Like, it'd be hard to tell. Maybe better is like, the top comment, like, could be thumbs up or something.
Yeah.
That'd be like the better way to do it, I think. So people can still tell us if they hate us or like us or whatever.
Yeah, or just comment what you would do.
Yeah, but I don't know. I do read them currently, but like, I probably won't in the future. So I don't really care what you have to think. I do, actually, but I'd rather talk to you. So like, give us a call.
All right. Goodbye.